All right, what's going on? This is going to be like the instructional video of the intro for your essay on genocide. And I thought the best way, to do that is to take a look at mine. So I have written my intro to mine, which is going to be on the Guatemalan genocide. And what you want to start off with is as a hook. And the way I started mine off was with the definition of genocide. Now, you can do this, but you could also start it off with a question. We talked about that the last time because a question will involve your reader right off the bat. Like it gets them involved in the essay. So you could start off with like, have you ever wondered about what causes a genocide to occur? Something like that. I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I'm sure you can come up with something better, or you could start off with a shocking fact. Now, of course, when we're talking genocide, there are going to be many shocking facts to choose from. Hopefully by now you've got an idea of what country you're going to focus on, which genocide. Talked about that in the last video. Before you start writing, though, make sure that you do your font in Times New Roman, 12-point font. Your high school teachers are going to want you to do that. Even to your, if you go to college, your college professors are going to want that too. So let's take a look at mine. I will get rid of this. But you can see that I start off with that definition of genocide. Genocide is defined as the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. And then I just added some stuff that I thought would help out my essay, try to draw the reader in, even though that hook is that one sentence. I mean, your intro is supposed to be filled with, thought-provoking things. So one might think, when you see that right there, instead of saying you might think, talking to the reader, you can say something like one. You can use that pronoun one, and it just makes the essay a little bit more general. It might sound a little bit better than you might think. So you're not pointing out the reader exactly. You're just saying, a person, like someone might think. One might think this rarely happens because it is so horrific to think about. Unfortunately, that is not the case. So we've talked about this as well. I've had a few longer sentences here. It's sometimes good, like when you have a couple longer sentences, boom, just have a short sentence there. It really sticks out when you do that. This is a rough draft, so I'm hoping that I don't have any spelling mistakes or anything like that in there, but it is possible since I'm such a horrible speller. But I have read this over at least once, I think twice. So hopefully there aren't any grammatical errors, but it's just a rough draft right now. A tragic but little-known genocide occurred in the country of Guatemala from 1981 to 1983. And I think I would like to put a comma there. A tragic but little-known genocide. Yeah, it needs a comma somewhere. I think right there is good. Yeah. All right. A tragic but little-known genocide occurred in the country of Guatemala from 1981 to 1983. Now, this is when you're talking about, so I remember we discussed those questions you should answer. So I do have the when right there. Now I'm going to talk about the where, and these should be like pretty quick to answer. Guatemala is located in Central America and is bordered by the countries Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, and Belize. Now, here is my thesis statement. My thesis statement right there. Remember, your thesis statement is the last sentence of your first paragraph. It should contain the main idea of your three-body paragraphs. And that's what I do here. Get rid of that. In this essay, I'm telling the reader, like, hey, you're going to read this. We will look at the events leading up to the genocide. So that's going to be my first paragraph of the body. The genocide itself, that's the second paragraph. It might be the longest one. And the effects the genocide had on the nation of Guatemala. So that's your intro right there. It's if you have a good intro that's well organized, your whole essay should be pretty well organized. Like I know my next plan of attack, and we'll talk about this on Monday, is that I want to have a good transition going from my intro into the first body paragraph. And that's all I'm going to think about. I'm not going to try to get too bogged down in by all the facts that I want in there. I want to talk about how the genocide occurred, like what events led up to make one group of people in the nation of Guatemala want to exterminate, want to completely get rid of another group. And then I have my plan. Like the next paragraph, I'm going to be talking about what occurred there. And then the last paragraph of the body before the conclusion, we're going to talk about like maybe how the nation is dealing with it today. Were there any war crime trials that went on? How did the country put itself back together? I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't think about unless they've studied genocide a little bit, is like oftentimes we're studying Cambodia right now. Oftentimes when the genocide is put to rest, we learned that, the Vietnamese army kind of really helped Cambodia stop the killing and the killing fields. Like you have neighbors that might have been part of the killing. Like this neighbor of yours living right next to you, unless there's a war crime trial, which rarely there is, they might have put to death some family members. Like it's not an easy thing to get over. And this is fairly fresh when we're talking about my genocide, the Guatemalan one I'm researching, 1983. There's still a lot of people that probably lived through that. Talked about in the Cambodian genocide that it happened a little bit before I'm born. So like 50 years ago, a lot of the people that participated in that, they're probably dead or close to dying. They're in their 80s and 90s. And a quarter of the population in Cambodia was put to death. Crazy. All right, that is it for today. So hopefully you can use the rest of this time to work on developing the intro to your